Hey, welcome to the Healthy Enterprise. If you are back to hear some more, well, thank you for coming. And if it's your first time, welcome. My guest today is Stefan Lukianov. He is an artist, author, businessman, educator, and scientist in computational bioengineering. He's the founder and CEO of Salve Therapeutics, where they specialize in leveraging advanced software to pioneer the development of novel viral and biologic solutions. I'd like to welcome you and he to the show, so let's get started. Okay, so Stefan, thank you for joining me today for this episode. I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey in the biotech world and Salve Therapeutics and getting us caught up with what you're doing. So maybe take a minute and introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us a bit about Salve Therapeutics.
Sure. Yeah. So, hi. Thanks for having me, first of all.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm Stefan, the founder and CEO of Salve Therapeutics. So, we are a health tech startup based in Los Angeles that works on what I call patient empowerment software. I've been doing it for about, we officially incorporated in 2022, but the ideas were kind of percolating maybe a year and a half before that. So it's been a good few years now. I've probably been more consistent with this job than any other one that I've held. So it's it must mean it's enjoyable for me.
And it's a
And
job that you can't get fired from, but
yeah,
you also can't quit.
I
So
can't quit. No, it'd be like a messy divorce if I did. So I'm trying to avoid that. But
yeah,
um, yeah, it's been really fun. I think it's been an adventure that sort of I didn't have previously with my kind of background job. So my
hmm,
background's in science mostly,
right.
like biochemistry, virology, and I've done a bit of education and journalism on the side too.
Yeah,
Um,
I noticed that you did that. Was one of
yeah,
your you an editor and
yep,
yep, and then several degrees in science before that, right?
yeah,
Mentoring, all of that. Yeah.
pretty much. So I think what I've tried to do is like tailor my communication skills alongside my science skills, and I wasn't really sure how to like apply that together to something. But the company has really been a good opportunity for that because I need to communicate the science well to get people to believe us.
Right.
And whether it's an investor or somebody we're hiring, it really helps that I had that training beforehand to um, articulate our vision and get our message out there.
Right.
So it was kind of unanticipated, like all that, me wandering for years and then finally finding something that kind of brings it all together. So it's been fun, it's been rewarding, and I love the people I work with. I've been able to attract some really talented people. So I think that's been the highlight mostly.
Yeah. Yeah. What you said something what before you called it patient empowerment.
Yep.
That's
So
so that's a cool definition, but maybe explain what that means from
yeah.
your perspective. Yeah.
So the software that we're developing, there's two main projects and a few other kind of ideas that we have bouncing around, but they all kind of orient around helping the patient take control of their own healthcare, and whether that's the medication they take or the peripherals they use, like apps or devices, etc. We want the patient to feel like they have control over the course of their care,
Mm-hmm.
not to the exclusion of the doctor, but sort of in collaboration.
Right.
And um, so the stuff that we're designing is um, meant to basically make the patient's life more convenient, reduce their costs, bring them closer to their doctor without creating like an undue time burden, um, and also just help them live healthier lives.
Mm-hmm.
So and it kind of similar to how um, my previous skills came together into the company in sort of unanticipated ways. I think that the ideas we had in the software world um, fell under this theme of patient empowerment, kind of um, also in an unanticipated manner. So we were kind of moving along and you know had some ideas before others, and then kind of recognized that there was a theme or a vision behind it of patient empowerment. Maybe it's just we recognized what we were designing and sort of how to spin it.
Right.
Um, and it's been a good kind of thesis for because our projects kind of look divergent on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the idea of patient empowerment kind of brings them together into a whole, and it makes us as a company make more sense that we're doing them.
Right. So the way you describe that sounds amazing. Like, now, how do you actually accomplish that? How do you do all those things for patients? Like, how do you actually deliver that?
So, um, for example, one of our pieces of software is design software for new types of medicines for rare diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And these medicines are usually pretty expensive. Um, Usually, biopharma doesn't really work on them because they have small patient populations, so it's hard to justify building a expensive medicine for a small payback, basically.
Right. Right.
So what we hope to do with this particular software is reduce the cost of building those medications so that um, you actually can recoup those costs on small patient populations. So what that does for the patients, or what we hope it'll do eventually once we actually start building therapies and get out of like development phase, is make medicine more accessible for them. Um, Bring sort of options to the table that they wouldn't have otherwise because of sort of the cost prohibitive nature of the medicines. And we think that taking a tech first approach is kind of critical to all this, because only with technology can you really precisely design things in such a
Mm-hmm.
way to ensure their costs are reduced. You can't really do that with a lot of times in biology, things happen by accident,
Right.
or through like large scale screens that use a lot of resources.
Sure.
So we hope that using technology makes things more targeted, and and by doing that, it reduces the time and cost of actually building something new that can help those patients. And then it trickles down to the patients not having to pay as much for what's designed for them, basically.
Right. So is the software, this particular software that you're talking about, is it designed for the end user, for the patient, or is it designed for the, it's designed for the drug developers, right?
Yeah, it's designed
Yeah.
for the drug developer. So it's um, software they'd use to get to answers more quickly, as far
Okay.
as what kind of a drug would be feasible for targeting a certain type of rare disease.
Okay.
And there's a lot of kind of molecular mechanisms and
Sure.
algorithms that I'm not sure I want to get into
No,
for the
no,
because
that's okay. It'd
I
be
don't
over my
understand
head
most of it.
anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand much of it myself, honestly. That's why I hire tech people who are like way smarter and more capable than I am.
Yeah,
Um,
you've got the science stuff nailed down, and then and then you go, this is what I want the science to do, and then
yeah,
someone who can actually manipulate the technology to make that, deliver
yeah,
those, that data, right?
yep. That's pretty much it. So, so yeah, the end user would be the drug developer,
Right.
um, and um, yeah, I guess I sort of had the idea for the software based on um, myself as the customer, as the drug developer,
Right, right. That's your
because
perfect perspective to have, yeah,
right,
for that.
because I
What
had some
would you need to make your job easier,
yeah,
faster, cheaper? Yeah.
no, exactly, completely, yeah, because I'd had some experience with drug development in my different courses of study, and it always seemed really clunky and
Right.
sort of haphazard, and really you know unstandardized. So my hope, even though I'm not a tech person myself, was to um, bring some engineering thinking to the
Mm-hmm.
process,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can prototype drugs in a way that other inventions are prototyped before they're actually like produced and
Hmm.
more go to market.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
that's not really what happens right now in biotech. So I think that we're not really inventing something new as much as combining fields in a
Right.
way that is, I think, kind of novel.
Right.
So I don't pretend to be making like leaps and bounds or like dramatic new discoveries. It's more just like, I don't know,
Streamlining the processes.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like clever tricks and insights that can help, yeah, streamline the process and also um, cut out waste that
Yeah.
would otherwise increase the costs of
Yeah.
drug development.
I hear that a lot in health care, period, in general,
Yeah,
across the board. Tremendous amount of waste, time waste, resource waste. Yeah. And that's, I think, what technology is doing now. If you combining, you're probably using AI, you're using
yep,
a variety of different tools at your disposal to actually, uh, repair some of this weighted down processes and procedures and
yeah,
things that they've been doing things the same way for you know decades, but that's just because that's all we had at our disposal. But now we
yeah,
have we have so much more
yep,
to work with that it's time to it really is time to level up.
yeah. No, exactly. Um, no, we are implementing machine learning as part of our design platform, and
Cool.
it's been fun to learn about it just
Yeah, I
because
bet.
it wasn't my background. So a lot of the times I'm I'm taught more than I teach as part of my
Right.
jobs, and which is really fun and really rewarding.
In one room you're the smartest guy in the room, and then if you go down the hall you're not the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, it's better to not be that. I feel like there's a lot of pressure with
Too
that kind
much
of
pressure.
relationship. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that at lectures, like where one guy always gets consulted during the lecture for like
Right.
his answers, and it's just like, I don't know, I never want to be that guy because I feel like there's just, yeah, the pressure, and also like um you could be wrong, you know? I
And that's
why
well, but
take
that's
that
what
risk?
you're describing is a very stereotypical founder
Yeah,
characteristic, right? Like founders are typically guilty of having their fingers in too many pies and wanting to be
yeah,
part of every conversation. And I mean, it's not sustainable. Like you have to kind of at some point, yeah, and you probably experience this, let someone else take the reins of certain aspects
yeah,
of your
for sure.
operations, right? And then because how could you, I mean, it's cool to hear that you've already seemed to have achieved that, is that you know where you want to be and you let others be great at what they do.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, it that's a good way to put it, and it's kind of um it may sound counterintuitive, but I found it useful to be a follower more
Mm,
often than not. So even if somebody, you know, works for me, quote unquote, I'd rather listen to them than them listen to me,
right.
because I think that they have the answers to what they need and what they should do, and it's up to me to just like hear them out and help them find that
Mm-hmm.
themselves as a good sort of sounding board. And it's one example of it right now is for another project and a mobile app we're working on. Um, I just reconnected with a co-inventor of the app. We invented the app several years ago, and now we're getting ready to like do clinical studies and potentially commercialize it.
Oh wow.
So this co-inventor isn't part of my company, but um, we had a good relationship in the past, and then kind of fell out of touch with each other.
Right.
And now, for the purpose of these clinical studies, we've reconnected, and she's much more of an expert than I am in clinical studies and all. She's an MD, you know, in all things medicine. She far surpasses anything that I know, and it's been great to kind of let her take control. You know, like contact the right people, ask the right questions,
Mm-hmm.
um, take information from me and like repackage it into better ways. It's been a huge relief actually because um, I never would have thought of, you know, what she produces myself. It makes us, it makes our job so much easier. It makes us look so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's really nice. It's really nice to have that kind of guidance, even when you're like the nominal head of the company,
Right.
because then it's like it just makes things much more collaborative. It makes things much more um, simple, I think, and
Well,
it leads to the
everybody
best
needs
results.
right.
What's that?
Everybody needs a mentor.
Yeah,
Like every like even yeah even the lead of the company like needs
right.
someone to talk to confide in, to share your burdens and all, like everybody needs someone to that they can rely on and trust on
Yeah,
in that way,
no, for sure.
um
Mentor's a good way to put it, and it really is a relief to have. It feels like I have a mentor again
yeah,
at a really critical stage of a product's development.
yeah, well, you need
And
that for sure.
yeah, completely. And it just I feel so much more confident in like our future directions with that mentor in place, than if I was just trying to wing it by myself.
Right. So this was a project we were talking about earlier that is in clinical stage right now.
Yep. So
Yeah.
not it's not the design platform project. It's actually a mobile app
Right.
for um, patient self management,
Oh,
basically. Yeah. So it's a mobile app that
cool.
allows patients to collect their healthcare data from home, from like medical devices they may be using,
Right, right, right.
and share it with their doctors. And we're
Nice.
that's kind of a broad definition because there's a lot of medical conditions that require home data collection
Right.
and doctor sort of consultation. So we're focusing on a small patient population to start, just to kind of um, target our efforts to something feasible and kind of manageable in a design sense.
Yeah.
And so the patient population we're looking at are patients on the drug warfarin. It's a blood thinner.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's being replaced by other blood thinners, but there's still a pretty significant population that take warfarin for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like diabetics, they have to test their blood at home
Yeah.
to
Pretty
make
consistently.
sure
Right.
that
Yeah.
yeah, their blood clotting is like normal. So they they have devices to test their blood, but there aren't really good apps available in the US that can help them collect and organize that data and share it with their doctors.
Mm.
So that's exactly what our app intends to do, um, is provide them a way to chart, graph, um, analyze, and notify their doctor of their sort of like ongoing health results
Mm-hmm.
and get recommendations in return for
Right.
either like dosage adjustments or lifestyle changes. So it combines it combines data analysis and telehealth, which I
Right.
think is pretty interesting.
Very
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
and it's at a stage where um, we have enough developed in terms of its front end to start considering putting it in patient hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so this mentor, this colleague of mine, came in because we're starting to talk to test sites that would actually enroll their patients in clinical studies for our app.
Hmm. Wow,
And
that'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting to think about. I mean, we still have some developmental tasks to complete before we can actually put it in patient hands. Like we don't have a way to securely store patient data yet. Like we have
Right.
to be HIPAA compliant. We have to
Yeah.
make sure it's all private and safe and inaccessible to outside parties. So once once we design that, um, is that'll be when it's ready to get into patient hands because they'll be
Right.
putting in their data. It'll be safe and we'll be good to go. Um,
And that's data. So the doctor will be able to access that.
yeah,
Um, and wherever they get test results, so they'll be able to add test results and things back into that So it's
Yeah.
sort of a full collection of everything that's going on in that person's health spectrum.
Yeah. No, for
Yeah.
sure.
Wow,
That
that's really cool.
that I mean that exists to some extent in what are called electronic health records. So there's software out there that already um, collects patient data from tests and hospital visits and
Yeah.
organizes it.
But there's a
It's
lot of them, right? And they don't actually
yeah,
communicate, do they? They
not
don't necessarily share.
they do have some telehealth functions, but they're not like usually in mobile app form.
Yeah.
So I think and they're not geared towards home care
Right.
really. They're
Right.
more sort of like on-site type functions.
In the
Um,
facilities. Yeah.
so I think that for our app to like um, encourage home care and electronically streamline data transfer and also those other programs are pretty complicated to look at. A
Right.
lot of times the older patients that we're considering actually avoid them just
Yeah.
because they're not intuitive to use. Whereas if we design like a really straightforward mobile app, everybody has a smartphone now,
Right.
and it'll be something that they can punch in their values really quickly to share with their doctor. So it'll kind of provide another path to a better path really to um,
Patient empowerment.
yeah, patient empowerment, deciding
Yeah.
upon
Such a
how
great way
appropriate
to say,
outcome.
great way
Yeah,
to define that, because it really does, put the power back into the patient's hands, which I
yep,
think a lot of them feel very alone and sort of unconnected in right now in a lot of different areas of health. But
yeah,
these are the kind of tools I think are going to really help people do feel more connected and attached and part of their recovery process or their treatment process.
yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we want to expand it beyond just this patient population because it has a design that's amenable to other types of home healthcare necessities.
Right.
And whether it's diabetes or kidney care or medication management, we hope to kind of pull that all under the umbrella of the app eventually.
You're using this group as specifically for this pilot while you're
Yeah,
testing out.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
you'll be able to adopt other conditions and other diseases and
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
pretty much.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That's
And
great.
I think in terms of like making it accessible, there's a lot of problems with rural healthcare,
Mm-hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, we hope to by you know getting the patient more in control of their health, also get people who are harder to reach sort of more involved in their healthcare. Um, some places, some rural areas don't even have adequate internet access,
No.
so um, that might make it difficult to have an app in the first place. But um, I think that by putting the healthcare in the home and making it accessible to the doctor, it doesn't matter where the patient is; they'll be able to sort of derive benefits from that.
Right. Right. Yeah. The rural thing's a big one too. Cause also, being more up to date with your data and the results of tests and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, actually puts people in a position where they're actually being more preventative, where they learn about things that are maybe
Yep.
not going in the right direction earlier on, rather than it becoming an emergency situation. It gets indicated, and whoever needs to know gets pinged, and
Right.
so everyone's sort of up to date a little bit quicker. It's more real time rather than, oh well, this started 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't get in to see the doctor, and
Yeah.
and now you've got a situation. So yeah, I think that's yeah, that sounds great.
No, that real time component is really critical. Thanks for mentioning it. It's definitely one of the reasons we want the patient to be more involved in their healthcare is to avoid those adverse events that happen if they have like a missed dosage or
Right.
a misdiagnosis, for example. So that real time communication between the doctor and patient as their health data is evolving
Right.
is really important for like protecting them overall.
And I mean, it's only as good as the user. So I suppose there's a bit of like the person's got to be committed to
Right.
updating it, keeping it consistent. But if you're talking about someone who has an ongoing chronic health condition, and they're most people are pretty aware of when they're not feeling right, when they're when something shifts and they feel one way one day and they feel something different the next. That it's maybe about that accessibility, where it's like, oh, I'm not feeling that great today, something's not right, I guess I should
Yeah.
go see my doctor. But instead they can just put it into the system,
Type right.
and and then the doctor gets it immediately. It's it really, I would say, simplifies people's um you understanding of how to manage their own health and give them that independence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's what we hope to foster. And you mentioned, sort of the the frequency of use of the app kind of depends upon the person.
Right.
But I think we can also encourage that. Like if we design something that is maybe even fun to use in some ways,
Yeah.
that potentially even gamifies the the health data collection process,
Yeah.
and rewards sharing it with your doctor, you know, diligently and carefully. Um, then we attract users to the app. Also, like just how it looks, how it feels.
Right.
So a big part of the pilot studies is measuring stuff like that. So, is it something that the patients want to use
Right.
and makes their life more convenient?
Right. Cool. That sounds awesome, man. So how long do you think before that you'll be able to roll that out?
Um, so we're still fundraising right now. We just got sort of a cost estimate for the pilot studies. Um, and honestly, even if we get funding right away, it'll still take months to get like a regulatory approval
Yeah.
for the study. It'll take more months to enroll patients after that.
Right.
So I'm under no illusions that it'll be like, a haul basically. But it's kind of fun to think about it that way. I mean, this app has been in development since I think spring 2022,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gone through different like levels of IP protection and different levels of development, and it's been fun to watch it grow over that time, even though it's been like a slow growth. Well, I don't know. I mean, a healthcare app is a little bit more complicated than other apps because
Oh
there's
yeah.
so much more regulation involved, so
Yeah, for
much like
sure.
security and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
there's so much more at stake.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, so even though it's been going maybe slow by app standards, it's been really fun to watch,
Yeah.
and it's been fun to see it kind of like attract talent and attention, um, from programmers and clinicians and, potential investors, and just get excited about it. And so I think that'll continue as far as like, planning for clinical studies and, further development. I'm just excited to see where it goes,
Yeah.
basically. Um,
Well, everyone, I mean, who doesn't know somebody who has some sort of health condition, right? And would like to see that improve. The whole experience. Having a health condition
yeah,
is one thing, but having to have to manage the system, it's anything that would simplify or make that a more pleasurable experience. Who wouldn't want that for
yeah,
a loved one or a family or a friend? So yeah, I'm sure
definitely.
people are really jumping on board who are in the tech field going, oh man, we can make something really cool with this. This could be
Yeah.
really revolutionary. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should say that because like a lot of, times when I've described the project in, you know, f- electronic virtual sessions or other events, the people listening will say, "Oh yeah, my dad was on warfarin," or like my
Yeah.
uncle was on warfarin,
Yeah.
and his life was really inconvenient.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to have something that makes their lives easier. So
Yeah.
there's definitely already that anecdotal, personal touch to it that
Yeah.
makes the case more compelling. And actually, our first investor, um, is on warfarin himself. So it
Yeah.
kind
So
of,
there's
yeah,
there's
looking
the
for more.
connection there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you spend a lot of time doing that, going out speaking and attending seminars and conferences and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. I'm kind of a typically shy person, but I've learned to become a better networker
Yeah.
through the company. Um, and I like the company's based in LA, but I live on the East Coast, and
Oh, you do? Okay. All right.
there's a ton of great stuff around Boston all the time that
Is that where you are?
yeah, that's where I am.
Right.
Yeah, that caters to the medical and biomedical fields.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's the hub.
there's no shortage of things to go to. I've made a ton of great connections that lead to other connections, and I think we're in, and since the app is it's actually co-owned by Harvard University
Oh, wow.
and Brigham and Women's Hospital, so
Yeah.
it kind of already has its access out here on the East
Yeah,
Coast
no
near
kidding.
Boston. So like
That's a
me
great
being here,
partnership.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely me being here and sort of advertising it is just a good alignment.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that we attract in terms of like additional support would come from this area
Mm-hmm.
for this project. Um, so it's just kind of a matter of letting things continue to line up right now.
Certainly investors, hey,
Yeah,
in your neighborhood.
no, we're getting well. It's funny because like um, I feel like a lot of times the temptation of a startup is like to try and get money as soon as possible, or
Right.
like being a ticket to lots of money very quickly. And I've kind of realized like you have to have something to spend it on before you can raise money,
Yeah.
and you have to also figure out like how much you can do without money before you can justify having it. And I think now that we're at a point where um, we can't move forward without additional like capital, because we can't run a clinical study by ourselves and you have to pay institutions to do it.
Right.
It's kind of put everything in perspective in terms of like what we've been able to accomplish through bootstrapping,
Mm-hmm.
and also thinking about how much more we could do before actually requiring outside capital. Um, so it's really kind of made my picture of capital more realistic. Um, it's not just something you jump into. It's not something you sort of um, win like the lottery.
Right.
You kind of have to earn it by having a good game plan and like a fundable idea and project. So and it's also maybe more cautious. Like I think like once you get that capital, it comes with stipulations. You now
Yeah.
answer to whoever gives it to you,
Yeah.
and they have a say in your project, and um, it can run out too. So it's like I've actually become much more cautious about fundraising, just knowing that like the kind of sensitivities and magnitude of having to use money carefully for like very specific project goals. Like I feel like this project especially has kind of like sharpened me to those ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and in some ways made me more reserved towards fundraising. Maybe that's detrimental to it, but I just respect it more, I think, because of
Well,
that.
it sounds like maybe you just sort of you've been able to fine tune the vision and where this is going without having the complexity of having to manage someone else's money and also being accountable to them
Yeah,
and also having them have a say in what direction you're going, and possibly a lot of more time constriction and pressure. So
yeah,
there's all those variables that you got to consider. If yeah, as soon as you bring on a it's a great idea, it is like winning the lottery, but it comes, like you said, it comes with a lot of strings and expectations
yeah,
and commitment. So but this way, by doing it your route, you're actually being able to fine tune it in a way where you know exactly where you want it to go, so that when you do get that um,
yeah,
truckload of money delivered at your back door, you know exactly where it goes and how to spend it wisely. So I would think many people would think that would be the a wiser approach for sure.
yeah. No, for sure. I think well, I think in terms of like aligning, I mentioned that it'll take several months to actually get a pilot study in place, and balancing that with like the investor time demands you mentioned is kind of at the front of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I think you have to sort of form a partnership with people who have similar visions to you, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it'd have to be somebody who understands how long a clinical study takes
Yeah.
and and is okay with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Gets and is excited about the clinical study in itself and is okay with it taking
Have you ever
time.
heard of
So
the Pasadena Angels?
yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met I had a guy on there from Kevin Scanlon from he was one of the Angels in Pasadena. And
Oh, cool.
he was on an episode, so they
Oh,
love
nice.
tech stuff,
Yeah. No, they
and
do for
they're
sure.
the West Coast Angels too, or
Yeah, there's
Tech
Tech
Coast
Coast
Angels.
Angels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
of them. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. That's cool. Yeah, they
I
love tech.
well,
This
I
guy,
think for us, like, it's a little bit more complicated because the sites where we're doing the pilot studies are also like potential customers for the app
right?
that we'd maybe sell it to for use in their patients. So the traction we have is really early. It's just
Yeah,
identifying these sites that are open to studies,
right,
but they haven't actually bought anything from us yet. So there has to be kind of a nuanced argument that, you know, demonstrates the traction we do have and um, indicates how we plan to get more in the future, how we're going to grow the relationships with the test sites
right.
to turn them into customers,
So
basically.
somewhat getting in, initial buy-in from
Yeah,
potential customers in the future, like, oh, if you did this, yeah, we would be all over this,
right.
and getting
Yeah,
their sort of yeah, early adopters.
I think we have to get that story sort of down pat to make
Yeah,
sure um, investors understand it, basically.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. So tell me a little bit. You kind of touched on it earlier, but you made this migration from founder to CEO. It was probably at first it was all one job, but now it must be split into two very different roles. Tell me about
Yeah,
how you've sort of how you manage that as founder and CEO, because there's other founders and CEOs that are at varying stages of this that are probably listening, and hearing from somebody who's been able to do what you did is kind of understand where you fit in and where and when to step back. And I think that was a really good tip. But are there other
yeah.
things about your experience with this founder CEO balance?
Well, I think when I first started out, I felt more like a founder, more like this pioneering type who's you know promulgating this new project
Right.
that is untested and is meant to fill gaps in the industry. And the CEO part came in more once we actually incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of put the official business label onto the founder mantle.
Right.
Um, and I think um, when that happens, I think there are fewer illusions that you have. Like
Mm.
suddenly the realities of economics and um, having to support a company come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you spend money to build a company before you make any money. So learning that as a CEO and finding a way to bootstrap appropriately um, has has I think forced a lot of responsibility on me that when you're just a founder doesn't really doesn't really register quite yet. So but I kind of I don't know I guess that doesn't mean I've like abandoned the founder label at this point. Like
No,
I definitely
you
still
get that for life.
yeah whether you're CEO
It's
or
a
not, that's
lifelong
true.
title.
Yeah, no, you can never erase that. um, I think it's still fun to like feel like I'm pushing things forward.
Yeah.
Like with this app project, um, there are other co-owners of the app, there are other co-inventors with sort of their interests and stakes in the app. Um, but they're not really doing anything with those ownership interests.
Right.
It's really us that are pushing forward the development, the IP protection, the clinical angle. And so I think like that pushing, that drive driving the project forward, I think, is more of a founder characteristic than a CEO characteristic.
Right.
I think I think having like because it just demands vision, it demands endurance, it demands like compromise in a lot of ways, and it's fun pushing those boundaries. It's fun seeing how far you can take something
Mm-hmm.
um, with like um, spare resources and still seeing it grow into something important.
Well, it's a
Um,
cool balance of like, having to have, a very, very high level view of the entire thing. Um, and seeing what potential it could be, and pushing the envelope so that it is innovative. It is not
yeah,
something that's been done before, and pioneering something. That's, I think, when I think about founders, and that's what they need to have. And the CEO needs to be able to see the big picture as well,
yeah,
but maybe not quite as far ahead, and maybe that's a vague difference between the two.
yeah. I think the CEO is more procedural.
Yeah,
So,
he has to know where it's going.
right,
He or she has to know where it's going, but they also need to kind of step back and go, well, this is where we're at. This is reality, and
yeah,
these are the steps we got to take to get to.
yeah. That's kind of how it works out in my head. So, like
Yeah, me
the
too.
founder produces the vision, the CEO produces the steps to get there.
Yeah,
Um, and so far it's been compatible. People have asked me before, like, would you sell the company or would you step aside as CEO? And I've heard that it's not good for like a founder to be in control for too long,
right.
and I agree with that. Like,
Yeah,
I think there'd be a time where sort of I'm in over my head in terms of expertise, and no matter how many
right.
people and mentors I put around myself, um, I still wouldn't be what's best for the company. So I think that's been a kind of a lesson in maturity too, is realizing that the company exists separate from me,
Right.
and that it might need something besides me to really grow and thrive.
And
And
it also comes
yeah,
back to, what do you want to do every day? Right?
yeah,
Do you where do you feel like you contribute more, or want to spend more time doing founder duties, or CEO duties? Because I don't know. As a scientific founder, do you ever kind of feel like you don't spend enough time hanging out with the scientists, or you spend too much time in the
sometimes.
boardroom? Yeah,
Yeah, no, sometimes. I mean, look, we're a small team right now,
yeah,
so I am in pretty close contact with
pretty
the
much
tech and
everybody.
science side of things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I
but
mean,
when you're
if
like three
yeah,
thousand, 3,000 staff, and
right. If it got bigger, that definitely wouldn't be the case for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Um, no, I think there's still part of me that wants to maybe do science eventually again, um, kind of in a more academic role. Um, it's always an option that I can kind of go back to, I think. But part of me also just wants to run my company.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think that especially seeing the traction we're getting, and sort of like the development we're observing with this app,
yeah,
that's rewarding. It's like, I did that, um, and shows that maybe like my efforts as CEO are bearing fruit, and
right.
so it sort of justifies my being CEO,
Yeah,
um, which is, I don't know, it's fun to run the company, and I'm not in any rush to like do anything else.
yeah,
Um, just kind of staying aware of options to um, not have any rude awakenings, maybe.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So if you could give, a couple of words of wisdom or advice to people who are, walking in your shoes, maybe Stefan 10 years ago or something, or 10 days ago, would you give some advice for somebody who's, in your trajectory?
Yeah, I think it's okay to think before you answer. I think so there are times where I'll get feedback about something, on like a virtual chat or something like that, or a pitch session, and you always have an impulse to react to it,
Right.
um, and usually that initial reaction isn't correct. So I think it's always good to take a step back and um, reflect on any sort of like feedback or input you get to see it more clearly and understand how it's trying to help you. And those I think those moments are just what build a better founder and CEO. Like when
Mm-hmm.
we can process and assimilate what you're getting from others to um, to humbly, and steadily reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've made a ton of mistakes as a founder and a CEO. This is my first company. It could very well still fail. I'm very aware of that. And what's helped me keep adapting is to just keep listening, um, and integrating what I hear into what I'm doing, so that if I'm doing what's wrong, I don't keep doing the same thing.
Right.
Um, and like just today, I got a lengthy piece of feedback from sort of a prospective mentor on LinkedIn about a pitch deck. And at first I was like, man, that's a lot of feedback. But then I was like ready to answer everything like kind of sloppily. But then I was like, no, I'll wait until tomorrow. Like I'll answer those points tomorrow because I have to think about them first.
Yeah.
And I want to give good answers.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think
and
that
that,
thoughtfulness is what you're trying to say. Like the thought,
yeah,
having the time, well, giving yourself the time to have that thoughtfulness and
yeah,
really thinking through rather than a knee jerk reaction like, oh, well, I don't agree with that. And,
right,
but really having the time to be thoughtful about it. And I have heard that from others who have said, there's many times where I just didn't have time and I reacted poorly or
right,
reacted in a way I wouldn't do again today. But that have taking the time to really reflect and think about that conversation or that email or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it's good advice.
No, definitely. Thoughtfulness, it goes a long way, definitely.
All right. Well, this has been great, Stefan. I really thanks for sharing everything you're doing over at. Oh, I wanted to ask you about the name Sav.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, tell me about that. What?
sure. It's pronounced Salve. I know it's written
Oh,
Salve,
Salve.
but
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
like no, it's
Okay.
fine. I tried to have an accent put on the E, but I couldn't register
Oh.
the name with the
Oh,
government that way.
okay. All
So
right.
yeah, but Salve, it's named after a Latin hymn called Salve Regina. I used to sing in a choir that sang in Latin, and that
Oh,
was one of my
wow.
favorite songs to sing. So just thought it sounded cool.
It
Um,
does sound cool. I like
yeah,
it better than Sav.
yeah, no, for sure. I think we're
Salve.
we're not into ointments or anything like that. So
Well, I kind of took it like salve, like soothing and
oh, okay, yeah,
simplifying, and like I kind of took it that way,
yeah, that's
like
a good way to put it.
a
Yeah,
calming. It was a calming. It's a calming word too, but salve sounds way cooler.
that's a welcome misconception.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I really enjoyed meeting you and talking to you, and I look forward to seeing what's coming in the months and years to come with Salve. Now I said it
Cool.
right.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll stay in touch. And I really appreciate your time today and being on the episode.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. It was great to be here. Great to sort of detail some thoughts and have the conversation. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so that was great. Really enjoyed hanging out with Stefan today and talking about patient empowerment. I love that when people are working to improve healthcare outcomes for patients and reducing costs and reducing waste and I think I really appreciate businesses that are doing that. Stefan wanted to share that collaboration and mentorship are crucial for success, in his opinion, and that transitioning from founder to CEO, he found involved balancing vision with operational realities, which is a great way to phrase that. It's like it is the balancing of two worlds, and that taking some time and slowly processing his reactions and using thoughtfulness in his decision making also led to better outcomes. So that's great advice for people in those kinds of roles. And listening to feedback is essential for growth as a founder and a CEO. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be healthy, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.